Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to City Council, May 26, 2026. Mark, glad to have you. He is our, what would I call it? He's our officer that we work with at Zion's Public Finance. Great asset there for us. So we have two public hearings that we're going to start with. So I'd like to call to order the public hearing regarding the proposed issuance of Woodland Hills City sales and franchise tax revenue bonds, Series 2026, in the principal amount of not to exceed 1,400,000 in one or more series, pursuant to the Local Government Bonding Act, Chapter 11, Title 11, Chapter 14, Utah Code annotated 1953. As amended, notice of this public hearing regarding the proposed bonds has been provided as required by law. The notice was posted as a Class A notice under Section 63G-30-102, Utah Code annotated 1953, as amended, including posting on the Utah Public Notice website, the city's official website, and here at the Woodland Hills City Center located at 690 South Woodland Hills Drive. The notice was also published in accordance to Section 45-1-101 Utah Code, annotated 1953 as amended, at least 14 days prior to this public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive input from the members of the public regarding the proposed issuance of the bonds and any potential economic impact and project finance with the bonds proceeds may have on the private sector. At this time, I will open the public hearing and invite any members of the public who wishes to speak on this matter to come forward and provide comment.
Do you want to know which council members are in attendance and which council members are electronic?
Yep, I'd be happy to do that. So in attendance, we currently have Councilmember Johns, Councilmember Roden, and Councilmember Lunt, myself, the mayor. We have Councilmember Hutchings, and I believe Councilmember Malkovich will be joining us shortly, though currently is not in attendance. Should we leave this open for a certain amount of time or proceed to the next item? Wonderful. Okay, then we will close the public hearing for the issuance of the bond for the sales and franchise tax revenue. And then we will move on to our public hearing for the proposed 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on the proposed budget that we discussed last council meeting? Okay. With no comments, we will close the public hearings and we will move into our work session where we were going to discuss the proposed 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. So this has not changed since our last meeting. You guys would have received that. Hello, Carrie. Is there any questions that any of you guys have different than last council meeting?
No. I didn't have any.
Councilmember Hutchings, anything? No? Okay.
I wasn't in attendance, so I didn't see if anything was circulated, but
we went through it. There was a few slight changes here and there. Actually, I am not complete. Yes, so we did actually make one change. If you look into the fiscal year 2027 budget that is proposed, we did add in the grant that we were just awarded for the pickleball court. We also added in the match that we need to contribute, and that has been added into this budget. So that is the only change that we did make. Okay. Then we will move on to item number 4, discussion of the proposed strategic plan. I would like to make a few comments here. And if you could take these back, Carrie, to the community development and especially with Daniel. There are a few things that I would love to discuss, and I have a few questions that might actually help as well. So we received a bill today from Sunrise on this project. It looks like we are, I need to see if I can read this. It's slightly cockeyed here. The strategic plan is currently billed at 30, no, that's built at 100%. Is there anything else that we will be receiving with the strategic plan?
I don't think so,
Okay, so it's just that one
I guess
pager
it-
in the matrix.
unless we change something that they need to change it, but I don't think so.
Okay. Also in going over the strategic plan, I proposed that in the second paragraph of the document, we add this text, or something like this. It says this document's implementation is at the full discretion of the current legislative budget process and discretionary implementation of the executive. Those are branches. Because I don't want this to feel like it is binding the hands of the elected officials.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be binding of the elected officials. It's supposed to be at the discretion of the council on what the council wants to do as far as the goals. This is the suggestions that are here, and then if there's edits to be made, we can do that. But it's mostly to be looked at as short-term goals to be reviewed annually and then updated accordingly.
Wonderful. My other proposal would be right after what the strategic plan does. The strategic plan gives elected officials and city staff a clear picture of which projects move forward, in what order, and how limited resources will be allocated, specifically. And I would just shift that from will to may.
Okay. Did you already write these up and send them to?
I have not
Yeah.
disseminated this in any capacity.
Okay.
I wanted, this is more, the council's document.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to bring these to you guys as kind of more of an outsider on this process.
Sounds good so far. I mean, it's this one pager, just to make sure that it's in line with what we want to do, make sure that the general plan is a living document, and to make us more accountable is what the strategic plan is about, is to make sure that we are cognitive of what the general plan has in it and how we move it along through the years, instead of just every so many years we get a new one and forget.
Do you guys have anything?
Can I ask, what was the cost of the strategic plan, or was it all built in to the cost of everything together?
It was all built into the cost together with the original grant. The original grant was for the general plan update and the strategic plan as a combination.
So I
Are
can
we
tell you.
being billed
Break-
separately?
Yeah, so the strategic plan was billed out at $10,339.05. Actually, I was incorrect. Now that I've got this in a little bit of a platform, it's 59% billed out at this point.
Okay.
So
That's in case we need any changes or what we needed. And if you guys, I don't think any of you were on the council at the time, but originally another company had started, so we ended up paying them some money out of this grant that we didn't get any documents
Right, when
from.
I was brand new.
And we didn't get any documents out of them, so Sunrise was able to pick this up after the RFP and finish both with not the full amount of the grant.
Yeah, that was right when we started.
Okay, anything on this primary kind of cover document? Okay, then let's move over to. Yes.
Can I ask just kind of a point of order, maybe? We're just looking at this right now. I mean, we've got to adopt a general plan before we'd even consider this, right? I mean, this just seems a little preemptive. I get we want to look at it early, but seems a little preemptive until we've actually voted on that general plan and said these are the goals that we have. Here's our strategic or our short-term goals that should be going into this. Is that am I out in the woods somewhere here?
No, but does the document call for what I would consider implementation timelines on anything? My understanding, it's a general statement of our general views in our current state and doesn't require us to say, here's how we're going to go about executing the plan. It's just, this is the plan. There's no execution requirement,
Right.
is my understanding. So that would be my only question for you, Brian, is do you feel like we need to have, or it's incumbent upon us to actually have some sort of supplementary document, whether it be not a full document, but whether it's a prelude or whatever that says anything contrary or anything to that fact around implementation of the ideas?
Well, let me clarify that just a little bit more too, because so we decided to have this one pager that will go in with the general plan that's very vague. And then as we adopt the general plan, Daniel has already been working with the mayor and the staff on specific goals that can be implemented as they see fit. And then that would be an internal document, not a public document, because then we can then look and see what is the goal that we want to do once the general plan has been approved. This is just a one pager to put with it to show that they're companion documents, even though they're completely separate documents, if that makes sense.
And Brian,
Okay, so
consensus as well. Are you looking for kind of a consensus document that like we've all formally raised our hands and adopted the document?
I don't know. I'm trying to ask what is the procedure here? Because I look at the matrix and the matrix has timelines. It's got people. It's got all that stuff in it. So I'm kind of confused here.
So let me see if I can help here a little bit, Brian. So you guys, the council has gone through and looked at every single page thus far of the general plan, right? It's now been sent back to the planning commission for their public hearing and vote, correct? You have a public hearing? And then it will come to the council and we will also vote on that and make it official. In that document, at the end of every chapter were the goals, right? And this is what we kind of discussed last time as we went through each of those goals and we kind of wordsmithed them, right? It was those goals that were pulled out and added to create this matrix. So hence we're able to kind of work this in tandem because I'm kind of wanting to get this whole thing through past the finish line since it has been, I guess 4 years to this point. And so I've given each of these different committees and organizations some deadlines for us to complete this. So that's where these goals came from, was from the general plan that we've gotten. To answer your question of where did these goals come from, why are we not passing the general plan first? And it's because we've kind of gone through that preliminarily. It got thrown into the Community Development Committee for them to be able to start this process in tandem while we have then be going through the approval process on our end.
And I understand that. I'm trying to find out what is our process of order because this is kind of preliminary, right? Is that what I'm trying to? I mean, this is not something that we're setting in stone at this point.
We do not have a vote on this at all today. It will go to vote with the general plan.
It's more of
with
just
the
a,
general plan.
yeah.
Correct.
But my understanding with the strategic plan is it's intended to run as more of a nimble document in unison with that general plan, right? So we could be discussing topics of the strategic plan on a every council meeting
Fairly
basis, yeah.
Yeah,
And saying, hey, these are the focal points of
for now.
the meeting. And so, yeah, it might be true today, but it might not be true in a month because we might have different priorities or intentions that align with the general plan, but need constant addressing.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at as I look at this, it seems like we're biting off a whole lot. And I see all these within a year kind of things. And in my personal opinion, again, I don't run the staff, but my personal opinion is our staff doesn't have time to meet all of these goals that are being assigned to them in this plan. I know I don't have enough time to help with, to take a chunk of what the council is being assigned in this strategic plan. It seems like it's pretty general, pretty open for how we're actually going to do it. There's very little in a lot of these things that are specific on what we're supposed to do. I'm not a politician. I'm not a person that's going to go out and meet with developers trying to figure out how we're going to build a little main street in the bottom of Woodland Hills. I think it seems like it's pretty damn big to take these bites that are laid out here. Just seems a little huge to me.
It was my understanding, Brian, that Daniel from Sunrise met with each of the staff members and the mayor and kind of they incorporated what their goals that they were already going to be trying to do into the general plan as it was written, and tried to make sure that it was in a collaborative manner, and that then the department heads would each look at those and prioritize themselves. And then in part.
I did meet with him.
Yeah.
We went through these, actually the goals and the timings for stuff that I helped set for him. Because most of these, even though they say immediate 1 year, it's really ongoing.
Yeah.
What that is. It's update the pavement management plan, immediate 1 year. Well, that's really something we do every year. But they didn't meet with Jody. I don't know.
They didn't meet with Lori, they didn't meet with me.
Okay,
I think they only met with Ted.
and not Wayne either? Okay. Well, maybe
So there's
that's maybe that's part of this then. I knew that the committee didn't want to go too far down the path and then have it be a total change. If we just started and then maybe could tweak along the way, kind of like what we did with general plan.
And I think what Brian's articulating here is my feelings as well, right? As I went through the general plan and I made all of your guys' recommended edits and the planning commission's edits, and I feel like that document is fairly well done.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say the same, and I appreciate the sacrifice that's gone on, but I can't say the same in this document. This feels a little hack and slash to me. Maybe it's just because it's a different representation than I thought the strategic plan would take.
Yeah. I think they didn't want to get it too concrete until they got the feedback.
Okay.
To say, I think maybe just based off of meeting with Ted, then kind of would get a feel for it. I thought they were meeting with everyone, but maybe they haven't got to that yet.
And I would say that's a must.
Yes.
He needs to reach out to myself, because I've got assignments on here and I'm just like, wow, okay, didn't have that on my radar. And it might need to be, or it might not be appropriate for me to run certain items here, right? Mm-hmm. Or, I've got Jody right now in this document rolling out a new water communication plan, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't need Jody doing that.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't necessarily make sense.
I'll reach back with them and make sure that they understand that we want it to be similar in process that we did the general plan.
And maybe to give you a format of how he did the phone call, so you understand better what he did. He told us, what's your three most immediate goals? And what's your three intermediate goals? And what's your three long-term goals? So I would talk to what out of basically the different plans, kind of what my goals of that were. I mean, pre-meeting was 1 year, pre-interview. So that's kind of the process you went through. I agree, I think this is a good starting point. It's a little bit of work over. The idea is to make this an implemented plan, where the general plan is more of a guideline. This is something that we can to help us move the general plan ideas forward. So I think it's a good starting point. It probably just needs a little bit.
Well, and
Okay.
I want the committee to understand that we really appreciate everything they're doing, right? I don't want it to come across as this is garbage and I redo it.
And we have them on the schedule to come and speak about this in June. You texted me and said that they were coming, I think it was the last meeting in June.
Probably, no?
You and I have talked, Mayor, we haven't
Let's-
talked, but he
let
gave,
me-
because he had
To
he had us, me contact them and say, what day can you come and present this to the council? And it was in June, not today. And so that's why I was a little confused. We had it on the agenda today because
Well, I
we were
think
told we couldn't have it on the agenda
I
today.
probably put it,
and
I
then-
put it on the agenda today
Mhm.
for us to be able to have this conversation, so that
Yeah.
hopefully that one will be.
But that's why they're not here, because I was sitting there thinking, wait, yeah, you told me that they couldn't come today because we were gonna do budget. And so they picked one of the days in,
Well, one of them
In,
couldn't make today.
yeah, one of
There
them
was a
couldn't come
conflict
today,
there.
but we did put them on the schedule for another council meeting.
Yeah, Jared, we'll coordinate that.
Okay,
Any other questions here, thoughts, concerns, procedural?
so
you
that's
guys
just
looking
why,
for?
that's just why they're not here to answer their own questions, because they didn't know they were going to be on the schedule. The June 23rd at 6 PM is when we confirmed them to be on the agenda, to come and present this. So they may have been thinking between now and then doing the interviews.
We'll coordinate that.
Schedules.
Yeah, let's figure that one out offline here.
So they may be planning to meet with everybody in between now and then, just because
hope
that
so.
was the time schedule.
Is there anything you guys have, your thoughts, your feelings, your concerns here with this document? Knowing that it has hopefully quite a bit of work still to be done?
Yeah, I think they would be surprised we were talking about it, actually. Because they weren't prepared to.
No, well, not a problem. Okay, then we will move to item number 5, the discussion of the Utah Wildland Memorandum of Understanding between the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Land and Woodland Hills. Ted?
I have a concern raised by a citizen.
Yeah, so, and maybe explanation of what this is, help alleviate that concern. So we have a cooperating agreement with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. That cooperating agreement is what outlines what.
Could you try again?
She always questions me. That cooperating agreement outlines the mitigation efforts that we have to put in with our community in order for the state to help us fiscally if there is a fire that they help us with in our city. Right, so in that cooperating agreement, for example, basically the gist of it is we have to do like $6,000, well, maybe $8,000 worth of mitigation work every year in our city, the equivalent of $8,000, which we usually have no problem meeting. With all the mitigation work we do, we're usually 3 or 4 times that. By doing that $8,000 every year, by meeting that, and I have to report on it every year, they agree on their end that they will, if there's a fire that kicks up in our city, within our municipal boundary, the state can be called in to help us, and we will not have to pay the state for that. Right? They'll not hit us financially for helping us. That's the agreement. What this is a memorandum of understanding that goes with that agreement. This basically outlines our full-time wildland crew and how they're responding to our contracts with Utah Forestry and Fire State Lands. So this really doesn't have anything to do with our community mitigation. It's what our responsibilities are as far as our wildland crew responding to national events under our contract we have with Forestry Fire State Lands. So it just outlines what we have to do by the type of truck we have to have, the equipment it has to carry, the things we have to have on the truck, the crew we have to have, the crew's qualifications. And then it outlines what the state will do, how they'll reimburse us, what we can be reimbursed for, stuff like that, is what this MOU is for. So I know there was a question that came up about, it says in the agreement, MOU, after all we can do, I think was the comment. One, I couldn't find that in there, so I'm not sure if they had the right one. I tried to call that resident, but I couldn't get hold of him.
Okay. So you got the same email?
Yeah, tried to call them to find out where they were seeing that, but it really doesn't have anything to do with what our community is doing. It's more to do with what our wildland crew does, this MOU.
That was on my end. Ted and I talk a lot about all these agreements that we have in place, and I think I reflected the wrong one in my video this week.
Oh.
So that's what this one is.
Okay, any questions for Ted on that one? Brian?
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
In here, it says the term of this MOU shall be 5 years. So are we committing then to a wildland fire program and crew for 5 years?
No, if we cancel our program, then the contract just basically becomes invalid. But in 5 years, we have to renew it if our program's still going.
So I just have a question. Since we all received the same email from our concerned citizens, do you feel like if were you able to talk with them or
No.
not yet? Okay,
I
but you will
tried.
clarify with them eventually on all of these concerns that they gave us.
Yeah, it's really kind of.
Wonderful.
And there's really nothing, I mean, the term all we can do, even if it's in the agreement, basically, what we're agreeing to is we'll do certain, as far as the actual cooperative agreement, not this MOU, we'll do a certain dollar value worth of mitigation in our city, and then they will not bill us if they have to come to our city to help fight fire.
And we way exceed that dollar.
Yeah, it just went up this year. It's a formula they use based on historic fires, amount of damage, all that kind of stuff. And our dollar value is like I want to say it's around 8,000. I didn't look it up exactly. And like last year, we did roughly $50,000. And that was just with our crew. That wasn't residents. So with the residents, we probably far exceed that. So it's, for example, the Utah County has the same agreement. They got to do about $600,000 worth of mitigation work.
And does ours help with?
That's why they
Utah
come to our
County?
city to do chipping. When they're doing chipping in our city, it goes towards their match for their cooperative agreement.
Yeah. Everybody just wants to make sure that that the cities who potentially would have state assistance have, skin in the game, kind of, that we are doing all that we can do in terms of not specifically that wordage, but that we really are working on doing it. And our intent is to do what we can do.
100%. Perfect. Any other questions here? Okay, Ted, number 6, discussion of the CPR contract for the APP pickleball grant.
So you've got the contract. We just need to sign it. We were obviously awarded the grant money. Just the dollar values on this, when the grant got submitted, the state is granting us 83,000-ish? No.
83,177.50.
Yeah, 83,000. And so we have to, it's a 50% match, so we have to match that 50%. Now, we do have in-kind in that, so we've got some residents who are gonna provide some in-kind. We didn't have a lot of in-kind, it was mostly because a lot of this is specialized. So we had excavation work, which is about $9,000 in-kind. So we're on the hook for $70,000 for our match. However, so we went through the budget today, and through budget savings this year, and primarily in snow plowing, we have that budget money available to meet that match. So I think we should be good on our end to be able to meet the match dollars through savings we've had this year, and then with our in-kind.
So is there any need for PTR to sell bricks And raise money.
If they want to, that'd be great, because a couple of things that weren't included in the grant, and a few things we thought of was like, it'd be kind of nice maybe to have a bench or two there. So if they want to find some donors, we can put some benches in so you can sit down and watch next to the court. Maybe we put a little concrete with a couple benches there or something like that. So, or maybe we can put benches and put a little brick thing inlay there with some names on it of donors and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to have. I mean, it's close enough to the pavilion that people could sit in the pavilion as well, but it might be nice to just have a couple benches for next up or whatever. So if they, we can look for a few things like that were part of the grant.
I want my name on a brick.
Maybe we could do a path between the pavilion and was
Yeah,
that part
that
of the
would be
grant?
kind
Is
of-
a
We
path?
did have a path included.
Because we had the path, the ADA path is included, right?
Yeah, so we got an ADA path that from the kind of parking area over to the pickleball court.
Yay.
One thing we talked about is if we have some savings or some extra funding with our road project, maybe we pave that parking area.
That would be beautiful.
That'd be nice.
Is there a rendering of where it is, where it's gonna be, what's included?
I do have we'll call it a site plan
Okay.
of it.
Does it include, well, I'm just wondering if that cost, if it's just so we've got the concrete pad. And I'm not sure if we're gonna do the specialized coating.
We are, so
And are
the
we doing
cost,
fence and everything around it as well?
the cost included the engineers to design it. The contractor for compacted road base, post-tension concrete slab, acrylic surface, pickleball sleeves, nets, poles, fencing and lighting, a paved ADA path, and basketball standards.
Are we doing lighting?
We got it in there if we want it.
That
There was
was,
some thought to do some lighting on timers, so they'd have to go off at a certain hour.
yeah, I just, I know that originally, when we first started talking about this, some of the people that live right around there, of course, it's kind of more central in the park, but some of the neighbors were concerned about lighting at night. And so we had promised at the time that we wouldn't do lighting, but it was also slightly different location, so maybe that matters.
Yeah.
Well, and I think now if we have another year like we did this past winter,
We'd use it a lot.
they might actually use them,
Yeah.
right? Versus we're used to having 6 feet of snow in the park most of the dark evenings. Now, we could have played all winter.
Well, even if it snowed, I guarantee you people will bring a shovel and clear out the court.
Rachel, I think it's more of the lighting would be okay. It's the, what time do we end? Like, park closes at 10 PM, lights are out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because you're right, in the winter, it's dark at 4:30 or 5, where in the summer, it's still light till 9 or 10. So not based more on the condition, but the time of day.
100%.
And maybe this is for a different time, we talked about control of who gets in there. Or are we just gonna leave it open to anybody who shows up regardless?
Well, I think because it's state funded, we have to leave it open. Anybody in the state technically is a taxed.
But every city has them. They're not gonna drive up to Woodland Hills to use ours, because
Are you
Salem
thinking
has
more
two
of
sets.
that one person doesn't just use them constantly to where it doesn't, other people don't get a chance?
Just didn't know how much limitation we wanna put on who
if it's
takes
gonna
advantage
cause
of
an
the.
issue.
Yeah, it's okay.
So part of the grant, when we got this, part of what you have to show to get this grant money is that there's some sort of regional benefits. So that was one of the points that we made, is it will help draw people to our beautiful community, and maybe we can start sponsoring tournaments or something like that.
Well, we know who
Yeah,
to
we
throw at
we
it.
have a couple that.
Yeah,
names.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or become familiar with our Woodland
Steve.
Hills.
And we'll put Steve in charge of
ways
it.
through- Also, I know
Well,
that's something
you
we
could
actually
start
have to
having a
promote,
pickleball
but I
contest
don't know if
at
we wanna just shut it down.
competition at Woodland Hills Day.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So what's the timeline?
So we have 28 months to spend the money. I think is what the agreement said. So once it's signed, we get started anytime on the engineering
Get
design.
her done.
That's, our plan is to see how quickly we can't get it done.
We have the funding for it, so we can get going on it right away.
Okay.
You just can't spend any money until the contract's signed.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Okay, Ted. Discussion phase 3 of the water.
All right, this one I need power. I need to share my screen.
Do you want me to do something up here, Jody? Is that-
No, he just needs to log into the Zoom call. And while he's going, just for those of you that don't know, which I believe everybody in this room does, last week we had a lot of fun dealing with some water lines on Maple Drive. We did. So were able to fix that issue. We also lost 2 PRVs that we had to rebuild. So it's in this older section. It is where we are striving hard to be able to hopefully figure out what we need to do to fix this going forward. So that's kind of what prompted putting this on the agenda for you guys to be aware of where we're at with this water line infrastructure and possibly how quickly we may need to move on this.
And that would be considered phase 4 though, right?
This is phase 3.
But Maple, because it's the water line and the road.
No, so phase 3 of the pavement management.
Oh, okay.
This is phase 3 just of the water phase
Right.
project.
And I thought we were holding off on that till we were doing both at the same time for Maple.
Yeah, so these roads aren't part of the pavement management plan at all. They're set aside waiting for the water line project to
Okay.
tackle those roads and water lines.
Okay.
All right, so for this one, I'm just gonna go through, give you a little bit of 4-hour discussion on this. So buckle up.
Are you sending us these slides?
Yeah.
That would be nice if you could.
So as Mayor had mentioned, last week we had a water line break. The way this started, this water line break, is we got a call from a resident right down here that said they were experiencing some high pressures. So usually when we get residents experiencing high pressures, one of 2 things. Either their home PRV has went out, if they have one, which is most common because their home PRVs, our city pressures fluctuate. And the home PRVs are to stabilize, cut that pressure from the city and stabilize it for your home appliances, right? So, because our pressures will go up and down. So usually it's their home PRVs that went out. So Toby went down and he put the pressure gauge on this guy's process hydrant. And it was reading really high. So we knew, okay, our water line is higher than it should be. Because this is our pressure reducing valve right here in our system. And being only the second house downstream, he should have been much lower than what we were reading on. So we knew we had probably an issue with our PRV. So we jumped in this vault here to check out, see where our pressures were. It had no gauges. It was almost done. It was about 2/3 of the way finished, the vault. So Toby and I got in and we got some gauges, went down back in there, threw on some gauges, got some really good showers while we were doing it. And the gauges read high. So we knew we had an issue with those valves. So we started trying to turn the valves down and they wouldn't adjust, which tells us the valves had gone bad. So there is actually a manufacturer who has a service rep that will come up and service these valves for you. So we called him. He came up the next morning. Let me jump back. While we were getting showered in this vault here, replacing those air gauges, the water line blew up right here. And there was a serious, mayor came out and said, resident down here is called, and they said they got a lot of water running down the road. So we popped over here, looked at it, and sure enough, there was a lot of water running down the road. So we went down and we shut down the water system here. So we didn't get a chance to get back and kind of finish what we were doing here. Got a contractor and started going on digging up this water line. Called the rep. He came up the next morning. So we were kind of working on this vault, simultaneously working on this water line break. This right here is the pipe that broke. Now we'll come back to that in just a minute after I tell the story. So got these valves fixed and found out we still had high pressure. So there are 3 PRV vaults that feed this zone, this pressure zone. So we popped in this one, and it looked like it was breeding bad. Went and jumped in this one. It was doing fine. Came back to this one and found out we had a bad valve in this one as well. And so we ended up getting that valve rebuilt. So we rebuilt, there's 2 valves in this one, 1 in this one. We rebuilt 3 valves, and then we got our pressure stabilized back to where they should be. Now Wednesday night, we called a contractor. This one about 5 o'clock when this blew, somewhere around there. So we got hold of a contractor, one of our on-call contractors come up. We dug this up and found the leak that night. Had it repaired by about midnight that night. Got it all repaired. Got water back to people. We left the hole open. We left the hole open so we could check it the next morning. Went out that, so we put a repair sleeve around this. This was the hole that was in there. Now, one thing to note about this hole, you see how this is kind of this scarration around it? That is the iron been eaten away. This is a ductile iron pipe. That's missing iron because it's been eaten away by corrosion. So these pipes are corroding. They're not in great shape. They're 50 plus years old. They're 6-inch water lines. Now minimum requires 8-inch. When you're looking at this type of pipe, ductile iron, the assumed life for this is 50 years old. That's in pretty good conditions. This pipe, when it was installed back in the 70s, they put no pipe bedding around it. So we were digging out rocks this big from around the pipe, which is also problematic around pipes. Pipes will actually vibrate in the ground if they're sitting on a big rock that's a point load on it, and it'll just wear a hole. We had that happen twice up here this last few months. So there were several issues, but anyway, we got this repaired. Went out the next morning. We left it open so we could make sure the repair was going to hold. Went out the next morning, just above where we repaired it, the pipe had cracked overnight. So story is the pipe's in really bad shape. And we knew that.
You knew
it's
it,
over 50 years
yep.
old. Last time we did the water line project, this was the same issues we were having, and we had like 5 of these in 2 weeks. So this is on borrowed time, not great shape. So we have been planning projects to replace these. It's kind of hard to see in here. This is all our pipes right here that are where we still have all those old 50-year-old 6-inch water lines. So basically Maple, East Valley View, Lakeview, Highline, Sky Lake, Highline, Mountain Vale, Schoolhouse. And then we have a couple over here that still have a little bit in them, a little bit of settlement and Homestead. These are all the ones where we still have all those old pipes. Then in addition to the old pipes, we have old PRVs. That was the one that fell. It actually ended up finally, we found out it was an old PRV, which ironically was missing some parts. We still can't figure out why. Because it had never been serviced anyway. Fire hydrants are old. When we opened a fire hydrant to bleed out the air when we put water back in the water line, fire hydrant would shut back off. The nuts on it were so gone, it was just popping water out the top. So we actually had to shut that fire hydrant off, and it's taped now because the fire hydrant's no good. So these are all the areas where we have these bad water lines. Now,
That is a lot.
What's that?
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
This is the original part of the city, so that's why the pipes there are the oldest, because that's the original city.
I know, but I was hoping that we had more of it done than, I mean, we've done a lot. I get it.
So we did about 3.5 to 4 miles 4 years ago, 5 years ago when we did that project. This is about another 3.5 to 4 miles of water lines. So I want to talk through, it's about 3.6 miles, and I'm going to say 3.6 to 4. These are kind of estimated numbers, not based on survey data, just based on Google GIS data.
And that's all of those streets there, because they're not all named in your subsequent paragraphs there. So I was just wondering, is it still covering everywhere from Maple to Sky Lake?
Yes.
Okay.
The project is.
Yeah, the project, because it just said total replacement.
Yeah.
So I just was making sure the 3.6 included all of the streets.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute. That specific paragraph doesn't, but it's talking about something else.
Okay.
So the total project cost is roughly $6 to $6.5 million to replace all these. That's including replacing all the roads with them. So like we did on the last project, pulverize and repave all the roads, so they'd have new roads as well. If we took the roads out, it'd be roughly about $5 million to replace these. Now that includes a 15% contingency that we throw in there at a planning level. So we applied for community project funding through Burgess Owens' office. We put in 3 different requests. Well, we started with one. They came back and asked us to give them 2 more, so we did. We submitted a request for $2.4 million to Burgess Owens' office. Well, we started out at almost 5, because you can go up to 5. They said, you're not going to get 5. We don't really do that. Most of our projects are $1 million to $1.5 million. So we said, but they said, we know this is very important for you guys, so go ahead and put in there a little bit bigger request. We put in a $2.4 million request with a $750,000 city match. And that would do Maple, Valley View, Lakeview, and Mountain Vale. At $3.15 million, when you add those 2 up, would do those streets. The middle funding request we did, because he said, well, put in there, $1 million, $1.5 million. So we did a $1.5 million request with a $750K, which would basically do Maple and Mountain Vale. And then we put in a low funding request of $1 million with a $500,000 match from the city, which would basically just do Maple. I think we're going to end up right around here is what we'll actually get for funding. Now, we ranked number 4 out of 20 on their project list. The response back from the person I was working with, the aide at Burgess Owens' office, was that you guys are high enough on the ranking, you'll probably get something, but they just don't know what yet.
Does this 1.5 and 2.4 plus the other, is that with road replacement as well?
Yes, yeah, all with road replacement. Yeah. So now you get an idea of kind of what we put in for funding, what the total project scale and costs are. So then I started doing putting together some information about some possible funding scenarios, just things to noodle over as we think about this. I think what's going to be, we'll talk about this here in just a minute. So when you look at funding through the State Division of Drinking Water, which is probably the most popular funding agency in the state, you've also got Rural Water and CIB. I don't think we qualify or do real well at CIB. Rural Water is a good funding organization as well. You typically don't get as good of terms with them as you do the State Division of Drinking Water. So most of them go through the State Division of Drinking Water. They have criteria they set to determine how you get loans and grants. So they look at your affordable water bill, is what they call it. And they assume affordable water bill for a community is 1.75% of your median adjusted gross income. The median adjusted gross income for Woodland Hills right now is $91,000. So if you take 1.75% of that, then you got to divide it by 12 to put it into a monthly bill. That's $132 is what the state says we can afford based on our income in our community a month for a water bill. Right now, based on 2025 water usage data, our average water bill is around $127. Now, what they use that for is they say anything, once you get above, if you have to take out funding that puts your affordable water bill above what we think it should be, then you start qualifying for grant and no interest loans. And that's what we got last time. There's no guarantee on those and what you get. So you can see we're really pushing that limit right now to be eligible for grant money and low interest loans. And it all depends on how much the state has. So potentially, if we went for a loan from the state beyond $1 million, we would start looking at probably getting some grant dollars. But what that looks like, I don't know.
And a prerequisite is we'd have to increase the water.
We'd have to increase our water rate to at least $132, average water bill. So by $5 a month. That would get us about $1 million.
Which doesn't go very far in our projects.
And as you can see back in our projects, that basically gets Maple.
Yeah, it gets one road done. But that increases for the entire city.
So the typical loan rate at drinking water, just information, is usually 2 to 4%, and their term's 30 years. So then I looked at a few different scenarios based on what we got from what we've requested from Burgess Owens' office. So if we went through for that package with the total fund of $3.15 million, which was the 2.4 from their office, plus the 0.75 we would contribute, the balance to be funded of the total project is $3.5 million. we would have to raise our water bill to about $148. So it'd go up by about $20 a month. Now that could vary a bit depending on how much grant we would get or low interest loan. This all assumed a 3% interest on a loan, 30-year loan. The middle funding scenario, then we're looking at needing about 4.37 million as far as loan money goes from the state, which we'd have to raise our water bill 160. And then if we got the lowest amount from Burgess Owens' office, then we're looking at, we'd need probably still $5 million and we'd have to raise our water bill somewhere in 165. Now those are assuming we got no grant money or 0% interest, which we likely would. But the state, until you go to the state, it all depends on how much money they have. They have two different funds. They have state funds and federal funds. State funds are usually they don't have a lot of, and that's where their grant money comes from. Federal funds is usually where all their money, where they house most all their money, and that's all loan money. So just wanted to run that by you guys, start thinking about that. This is really what it would take to be able to do these projects. Now, caveat this by saying all of this funding comes from, our water is an enterprise fund, as you guys know. So all of this money comes from water rates is how we have to pay for these projects. We can't come from the general fund. So property taxes aren't used for this. Looking at trying to find places in the general fund budget to cut wouldn't work for this project because it has to come from our water.
Yeah, because I'm in my head hearing people complain that we're gonna spend money on pickleball courts when we have water lines.
Two
that need
separate
fixed.
things. The pickleball course general fund, this is water. The only thing we really have in water
Water has
is
to
our
pay for
operations and
water.
maintenance, and we do have a portion of a couple of ours salaries, and that's really all we have in our water fund. And that's just a portion of them. So even if there's really nothing in the water fund to cut.
And that is state statute that water has to pay for water. It's not a Woodland Hills decision to do. That's because it's an enterprise fund and it's use-based.
I get it. I'm just
So
getting ready for the comments.
cutting items from general fund wouldn't work for this. Slashing salaries, slashing road funds, slashing pickleball courts, slashing park stuff doesn't work for this. It has to come from the water.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ted, for that wonderful news.
And if you can send us your slides, that would be great.
Any questions for Ted?
As we go forward, obviously we can't fix the past, but as we go forward, are we keeping a useful life analysis and putting reserves in place and all that? So, 45 years from now, when we're replacing the newest stuff we have, we aren't putting this burden on the other residents?
It's an interesting question. The answer is sort of. So when you
Catch
go,
up, we could save.
yeah. Once again, it has to be something saved in the water fund. And the way you accrue additional funds for the water fund is basically raise your rates. So it's always that fine balance of affordability for our residents versus what we want to do in the future, so we don't have to continue to go out for loans. Now, loans aren't bad things. I know we think of them personally like a loan's not a great thing, but for cities, it's actually not bad to use your money that way. You can leverage your money a lot farther by doing that. However, the state does require us when we do go in for a loan or grant money, we have to show that we are setting aside money every year for future replacement. The way we do that is we either add a value to when we calculate our total costs, we have to add a value to that of 1.1, 1.2 times what our cost is. So we're saving 10, 20% more through our water rate adjustment. Or we do that, the way we do it more often is we depreciate our water system. Those depreciations are dollars that translate into. So the answer is we do. And that's where, for example, our match dollars for this loan money will come from. Will be from that money that we've saved through depreciation of our system. Now, it's always a challenge because when you're talking 5 million, that takes a long time for a community like ours to solve. So likely you're going to have to go out and get some sort of financing, but the best way to do that is through having some match dollars through saving some money.
Grants, low interest, yeah.
So to just let you know, this proposed 2026-2027 budget, that depreciation number that we're socking away for the next future is $247,396. That is headed back into the account as a line item here.
And we have to report that to drinking water when we go for a loan. That's the depreciate our system. So
That's good.
And there's also a balance because they, as our city is run on taxpayer dollars, they don't want, the state overall in statute doesn't want us to just be hoarding money. Because if you're keeping it stockpiled, but if you have it for a capital project or for an enterprise fund like water, then you can justify that why you're keeping this money in a special space to use for future. You're not just hoarding it just in case. I mean, we can do up, most of the cities have 35% in a rainy day fund for emergencies, although the legislature is thinking of moving that back to 25%, which I don't agree with because emergencies are more costly now than ever. But on the water funds, if you can show that it's a certain percentage of the bill and that it's going towards future replacement, then they're more likely to understand and approve of your justification.
Gotcha.
So just one final item on this. The Division of Drinking Water right now has a moratorium on requesting funding. It will open up again July 1. And they're going to be hit with a lot of applications July 1. If we're thinking about this, we may want to get our application in the queue. The reason they put a 6-month moratorium on funding applications was because they were trying to get a handle on their money. When all that ARPA money was happening, they were getting so many applications and so many funds going out and coming in that they couldn't keep track of it all. So they shut down so they could get a handle on everything. So we may want to get in the queue and get an application into them. And so we have to decide what we want to do as far as the type of application. Do we want to look at water rate increase or wait till we hear on Burgess Owens?
Do we have a timeline at all on Congressman Owens' approval?
No, Jody was looking up some stuff today and it looks like historically it's kind of been, what was it, May, July, and something like that. So
Yeah.
sometime between now and the end of the year.
And I asked him, that's what they said, but I didn't know if they'd given you anything else.
No.
It looks like July isn't when they do a lot of big ones, but the HUD housing is also part of that community funding project, and that was put on hold recently as well.
Mhm.
So as they're getting these funding back up, it seems like they're starting to work with you here and there.
One more question that's probably going to be a very unpopular question, but
We like those ones. Carry on.
especially when they're coming from me. So it had 3 bridges gone through Maple. Yeah, I know. Would that have been any benefit to the city in terms of use or impact or anything like that? That could have, and I'm asking a real question because it's important dialogue for all of us to understand as we're making decisions. Right? Could there have, we can't rewrite the past, but.
Yeah, I guess that depends on what you're talking about. Certainly for the residents on Maple, probably not benefit. Probably more of a hindrance there.
Cars going for sure.
When you're talking about city infrastructure specifically, one of the requirements would have been, that road would have had to been redone, but in order to redo the road, we have to do the water line first. So I don't know what we would have negotiated with them because we didn't get that far, but the road wouldn't have met the standard. So they would have had to, at minimum, redid the road, but we wouldn't want to do that without doing the water line. So there could have been some shared costs or something there.
Which is the minimal part, because the water line is the more expensive part.
Yeah, no, and I only asked the question because I know it's a very unpopular thing, but it quite possibly could have been a strategic thing. So, yeah. Yes, okay, thanks. Good to know.
Of course.
So Ted, you had put quite a bit of money into your PRV survey. Is this something you need to go back to them? Because if you had two PRVs that were missing gauges and things like that, is this something that you're concerned about? Is this something we need to look into more?
Yes, and actually, so they did go through all the PRVs, kind of made a list of things that need to be fixed. We've been slowly working on those. We actually did have in the notes from that survey that there were no pressure gauges in that vault. So that's something that I identified. We just hadn't got to that vault. It's actually not as old as some of our others because it's in Woodland Hills Drive, which was done about 2013, 2014 when that vault was put in. So it's not as old as our ones over in Maple and that. So it wasn't kind of a priority vault, but they had identified that it didn't have gauges in it.
Okay, and they wouldn't have known missing parts, so that's reasonable, yeah.
It was very interesting. Those valves were dated 2013 and they had no springs in them.
Those are optional,
No.
Yeah,
especially when, you know, those springs were replaced by those 3 rocks you pulled out.
yeah. Well, Ben saw the rocks that came out of those things and
Yeah, they were a good inch.
it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we get new and interesting challenges every day in the city, so it's a lot of fun working here. It keeps it lively.
Well, I mean, it's super urgent now because when you start repairing lines, it surges pressure in other places that might have been fine otherwise for a little bit longer. Now all of a sudden it's going to start a chain reaction.
And that's what we think happened here. It may have been that when that one vault on PRV on Valley View, that's the one ultimately we decided went out. It probably surged and popped that hole. And we get surges in our lines all the time, right? You close the fire hydrant too fast, causes a surge and stuff like that. And that's why we always encourage homeowners, make sure you've got your PRVs current in your house because that's what protects their home.
Yeah.
And that's so hard for people to even understand that it's their responsibility and they don't have, especially if you're not the one who built the home and put it in originally, you might not know when it was last replaced.
I
So,
need to put that on our list of videos to do.
Could do. We've done I've done a
Education.
TED talk on it on the newsletter. We could do a video, just, 10 years. If your PRV hasn't been replaced in 10 years, it's time to replace it. That's about the life of those PRVs.
I think a video would be good. I know you've done the TED Talk, but a video would be good.
Perfect. Okay, any other questions on the water line potential need? And one thing that I found fascinating because, you know, it was fun, Ted didn't kick me out of the project, so I was able to hang out. But that impact zone you saw on top of the pipe, that was the rock. You could see that was the impact, that was the size of the rock that was sitting there. And as those pipes are working, they are vibrating just enough that rock sat there and just vibrated the daylights out of it. And with the amount of rocks we pulled out of that night, you could tell that this is the norm across that line. And we
Everywhere.
will have problems in the near future on that line.
We now require pipe bedding around all the pipes, and they have to put a nice bedding around all the pipes so we don't get all the rocks and stuff like that. We've even had leaks in pipes that were put in probably 2000. So a little more recent that you didn't have pipe bedding either. Same thing, rocks wore a hole in them and so.
Yeah. So something to just think about as we think about the future. What are those financial needs that we have? This one, I think, is one of the highest. Okay. Ted, are you joining us on this vacation portion, or will that be you, Wayne? Vacation of the road?
Ted's probably more familiar with.
Okay, then let's just skip there. I'm going to skip to number 9. With Bucky on the line as well, we're going to discuss the request for Woodland Hills City to vacate a portion of a road.
Yeah, so this is a piece of road that I probably should have brought the map. When what we call South Loafer was originally platted, it was platted to come all the way through and connect to Bear Hollow. When Summit Creek finished South Loafer, and it's a private road, initially was a public road, it went to private road. They then made a cul-de-sac out of it and didn't bring that last little piece through. It's 150-ish feet through to Bear Hollow. So we now have this piece of city right-of-way property that used to be South Loafer. It's 56 feet wide. It's a road right-of-way. I think it's 160-ish feet long, somewhere around there.
It's like 0.2.
0.22 acres. Yeah. It sits between two lots on Bear Hollow. We really have no use for that property as city property. It's just surplus property to us that we wouldn't have any use for. Bucky with Summer Creek has approached us and asked if we'd be interested in selling that property. It would be beneficial to them to access a couple of lots that they are included in their development. And so we had talked about
2.4 million?
2.4 million.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna replace all the water lines for us.
Oh, Becky doesn't have a smiley picture up there. Darn it.
Silence is accepted.
I just about died. I'm not sure about that one. Can you-
Acceptance. So they have approached us. It would be beneficial for them to access some of their properties. They approached us about purchasing it from us, this right away. We did some back of the napkin numbers. And the way,
Napkin involved.
and when you say back of the napkin, that's not really, did some research, I guess, is a better way to put it. Because I've researched, I've been involved in these transactions quite a bit for stuff like this over my consulting years. And also did some research into UDOT and how they do this kind of stuff. Really, the value of the property, in the end, is what someone's willing to pay for it. But the way you value this property is not like a typical lot. You kind of value what property might go around it. And then you come up with kind of a square footage cost that then you apply to this. And because it's an unimproved lot and it's a right of way, its value can be anywhere from 20 to 50% of the value of the property around it. And so I think we came up with a value of that 20 to 30,000-ish for this piece of road right away. I think we kind of settled in the middle, maybe that's 25,000 for this piece of property. If the city wants to, anything over 20,000 has to come to council as a surplus. I don't see us having any use for that property in the future. It's too small. We could not do anything with it. It's in a location we wouldn't have anything to do with. So the question is, do we want to surplus it? Now, Wayne brought up a couple of points today that we got to think about. If this gets included as a parcel to one of those lots, does it create a flag lot? So we got to think about that. And then the frontage. Wayne, did you look at the frontage issue?
Yes, 60 feet required.
So 60 feet and there's a 56-foot right of way.
I think this would just be access. I think the frontage would actually be on that street behind it.
South Loafer. This is an access. It's not really a lot. It's an access to the lots.
Yeah. So it'd be a shared driveway. So I don't think flag lot, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think the flag lot's really an issue because that frontage, they have that 100 footage of frontage.
Yeah.
It would be, depending on how we're defining frontage, if their homes are facing that cul-de-sac instead of facing, what is that, Bear Hollow?
Yeah.
Then it's just the access and their frontage is actually facing, which they have more than 100 feet.
Yeah. And that was kind of just a couple of things I brought up to think about.
Mhm.
And I don't know the plan, Bucky. I'm guessing they would face South Loafer because that's all the houses on that street do. This access would probably come in to the side of the house, I'm guessing, or something like that.
Do you have any insight on that, Bucky? You're muted if you're trying to talk right now, Bucky.
He had a prior commitment tonight and he was gonna kind of.
Oh,
Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, so the houses would face, I'm not really certain. It's hard without a design, but I think they would face probably towards the private road down below. Just
The South Loafer.
Yeah, South Loafer. Yeah. That's just a steep driveway if we come off South Loafer to get up to those houses. It's doable. It just, with that little access there, it makes it easier to get to those lots and easier driveway for those lots. But yeah, I mean, I think the frontage, I think the houses would face towards South Loafer. That was the question, right?
Correct.
So my question is, so would it be a vacation of that lot or a sale, I mean, of that property or as a road, or would it be the sale of that property for a private access to those lots?
When you look at the county plat, it is road. So we would have to vacate
Vacate
it
it.
through a sale. And thus we need to go to a public hearing for its land use.
Okay.
Then they could put in a road, petition to put in a road on that vacated property,
It would be a driveway.
A
So it
driveway.
would be public or private property.
private driveway.
It would be, I assume, probably jointly owned. Or one lot would own it and the other would have an easement on it or something like that, right, Bucky?
Yeah, it would be a shared driveway. Probably the HOA would actually own the property, and then we would just record an easement across the property for both lots to access it for a driveway.
Okay,
And that road, that we're talking about, the South Lover, is a private road as well.
right,
It's not a public road.
yep.
Okay, any other questions?
A really
for-
wide driveway.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ted or Bucky? Yeah, there's some procedural things that we're gonna need to go through because this is, resident owned land. We're gonna need to go through a public hearing because it's a land use decision. But we wanted to kind of get a feel, not a concrete vote here, but a kind of a feel. Does this sound like something that you guys would like to have us continue to pursue? Or is there no appetite at all from the council to vacate this land? Brian, was that your hand?
No, but I don't have a problem with looking at this and moving forward. There is the new, pardon me, for House Bill 535 that passed that we're going to have to actually look at to make sure we meet the new state regulations on property sales. This is what I had put together and studied with sale of property. So definitely something we need to make sure that we're following those regulations as we go forward.
And we have been talking with Craig and Ethan to make sure we are compliant in those statutory requirements as well. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, that's just new. So
Hey, anybody else have any concerns, thoughts? And then I say we
Keep
move
moving.
this to keep going.
Yeah.
And it'll come back to you, I assume, right? It's coming back to the council for a final verdict? Or does that go straight to the planning commission and they'll make the final verdict?
No, it will go, planning commission will have a public hearing, city council will have a public hearing. Then the council will make the decision, and this is the same also, you talked about South Loafer, but you didn't mention Eagle Nest. And we probably need to talk about that as well.
Bear Hollow? Oh, no. the bottom
Eagle
of the
Nest, yeah.
The bottom
That's what I thought we were
cul-de-sac on
talking about,
Eagle
Paul.
Nest, because that, if you remember, as part of the development agreement, the city council agreed to vacate the bulb on Eagle Nest and allow Summit Creek to make that a private road entering a portion of their community. This was kind of decided on, but we will have to move forward on that.
We've got some procedural process we need to follow just on finalizing our commitment that we made with the Summit Creek Development Agreement.
And for those who are listening online and thinking, well, you just gave that to the developer, no. In exchange, the developer did work for us on Bear Hollow. So they finished Bear Hollow, put in all the improvements there, paid for the road to be done. And this was kind of one of those in exchange things that was part of the development agreement. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
can I add one little piece to that too?
Please.
Yeah, we also finished Rockline ditches and some of the other infrastructure on Eagle's Nest and Cougar Run. There was on Plat D, Thousand Oaks Plat D and Plat F, there was missing infrastructure that we agreed to finish, and that was in exchange for being able to vacate that bulb and make that private.
Lucky that does away with my weekend entertainment. I turn on my lights and drive down through that bulb.
I bet. I bet. There's probably some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's a plus.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not sad to see that go away. That's,
Okay. Any other questions concerning the vacation of those two different areas of the city? Okay, then we'll continue to process or put those through the process on that front.
You're still on.
Well, we're going to go to number 8 now. I'll go and jump back to the April 2026 financials and check disbursements. Though, Ted, you might as well just stick around. You're out there. Any questions as you guys have had a chance to review those April financials and check disbursements? Brian, any questions on your front?
I didn't have.
Sorry, I
questions.
was on another screen looking at it. No, I don't have any questions. Jody had sent me some stuff earlier. Everything looks good. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody? Okay, then Ted, you're back up. I hope you found that other chair comfortable.
oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to number 10, update on the city grants.
Oh, well, I think we've updated everything. You know where we're at on that one. And still haven't heard on Burgess Owens grant or we should hear soon on the trail grant through MAG. They say by June 1, we'll pretty much know if we're gonna get funded or not. So next council.
And that's just for a study.
No, this is for an actual trail.
Oh, it's for the actual trail.
We submitted for 2.9 million funding from MAG to build a section of the trail that was based on that study we did
Okay.
from the roundabout
So
up to the
Woodland Hills
city
Trail.
building.
And we're kind of right on the bubble.
You're right on the
The funding
bubble.
on that.
The way they do is they go through and rank all the projects. The TAC committee, Technical Advisory Committee, goes through and the staff ranks all the projects. We rank all the projects as a TAC committee. They combine the rankings. There were 44 projects. We were like right in the middle. And then they just start giving out the money. They have so much money to hand out, 110 million-ish. They just start handing out money until they run out. And if you're high enough on the list, you'll get it. If you're not, you won't. We're kind of right in that bubble area.
Okay, anything else on grants, you guys? Okay, then we will move, don't go anywhere, Ted.
Nope.
Departmental reports, community development, public works, fire department.
If you didn't have so many titles, you wouldn't have to sit up there so much, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know what more I got to report. I think you guys hear from me enough. Our fire crew is now on full-time and available nationally. In the meantime, they are doing mitigation work here in the city. They've been doing chipping, weed cutting, stuff like that on the fire department side.
I noticed they were cutting down the grass.
Cutting down grasses, they go along cutting down tall grasses along our rights of ways and properties and stuff like
Which we
that.
definitely need.
And chipping wood, county wood chippers, they'll be done by the end of this week with the roadside chipping. They are still working. We have an agreement for them to work up on our property near the water tank. And they're up there, probably back up. They've been up there once. They're going to be back up there again, I believe, tomorrow. Continuing work on that property up there. So we'll have more mitigation work going on in the city.
Is the chipping, are they gonna go back and finish the piles they missed? Because we are
So-
still having.
That was the confusing part was.
I saw that.
About the process.
Yeah, so basically the county crews are going around fairly systematically. However, our crew we got a chipper from the state. The state loaned us a chipper to use, so our crew has been going around with the chipper. They're kind of catching the small piles and then leaving all the bigger stuff for the county. So in some cases, our crews have been going around hitting piles here and there, but so one street, they may have gotten one or two piles that are smaller, and then the county comes back through and gets all the big stuff or what they don't finish. The county will go back through, they'll probably be mostly done tomorrow. They're gonna go back through the city one last time and check everything, make sure everything's done before they leave the city by the end of the week. If something is missed,
Ours still haven't been touched. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
they got-
asking.
couple more days up here. They'll go back through, like I said, they'll go back through the whole city and check everything before they leave. If something does get missed, we've still got the state chipper, so we can send our crew down there to get it.
My neighbors were like, haha, because all of theirs got done and mine didn't. I was like,
Well,
okay.
I told
Wait
them
a minute, did you figure yours out after your neighbors were done?
Yeah, all my neighbors got done, just
I've
not
been
us.
getting lots of
Did you
calls
figure
about
it out after your neighbors were already chipped?
No,
It's
been out there the whole time.
Yeah.
my husband did add to it this weekend though. He was like, well, they haven't done it yet, so he put more out there.
Well, and we want as much of it out of the city as we can. So
We lost some trees during that storm, so.
Yeah, they'll go back and check everything before they leave the city, and if they don't get it, our crews will be around to get it. And then our road project is likely gonna kick off in July for phase 3 of the road.
That's gonna be-
Phase 3 of the road project.
Will is there a section of Woodland Hills Drive in that phase 3? Isn't there one? That'll be interesting. Oh, that'll be rough, just with all the other road blockages, and then we're gonna add some up here too.
Well, it's actually a good time because Woodland Hills Drive is very buggered up. So we're recommending everyone take Summit Creek to Loafer Mountain. That's your best way to get around now and avoid Woodland Hills Drive. So while Woodland Hills Drive, I mean, while it's kind of buggered up, might as well just get art done as well. While people are detouring anyway.
And at some point when they're roundabout, we won't even be able to go through that, right? At some
Right.
point this summer.
Yeah, we'll have to be going
So
over
we
to
won't
Summit
have any
Creek
choice
and down
anyway.
to 11,200.
Right, they'll shut down everything when the roundabout goes in. And we just finished the final design on the roundabout. So final design is done on that.
Oh,
They're starting to put bid documents together.
so, have you seen it? You've seen it? And? Like what's gonna go in the middle?
It's a roundabout.
No, but what are they gonna put in the middle? Do you know that?
Generally what we have there now.
Um,
They'll put some landscaping, some trees. They'll modify it a bit if we want them to.
And we could still put something in if we raise the money, like
Our
the,
flagpole's
like
gonna
the-
go in. I told them we would like to include possibly a city sign, and they said that's fine, we just have to buy it. Generally, they're gonna put some trees back, some plants,
fighting
our
flags.
flagpoles. In fact, the way they're building this, that center is really not even gonna be, they're not even gonna move the flagpoles, that's gonna stay there. They're gonna demo around it and hold that little piece in place, and then they'll widen it, make it bigger.
Okay.
Definitely needed.
We'll cut out those ugly trees. Let's get some better looking trees in there.
wonderful.
Better quality
Okay.
pines.
Thank you, Ted. Wayne, anything with planning commission or code enforcement?
Couple of things.
Nobody breaks the code, gosh.
It's been quiet.
Summer's
Not a
coming.
bad thing.
Depends who you talk to. Sorry.
We've had some problems with some builders. And we've
Steve.
levied some fines. Should be aware of that. We appreciate, we've gotten quite a few citizen complaints about builders, and we've taken them to heart and trying to resolve the issues so they don't reoccur. Issue some fines when.
Are they noise ordinance starting too soon?
Mostly, yes. There is a little bit of a misconception on Sunday work. Builders can work on Sunday, provided the noise level is acceptable to the neighbors. Usually that means working inside a home, not heavy equipment and nail guns and things like that going on outside. So I hope the builders would respect that, but there is a provision that they can work quiet time on the property during Sunday. A lot of people don't understand that. We canceled our planning commission meeting this month due to a lack of being able to get a quorum together. It's
Graduations and
summertime and
everything else.
everything else, and so we plan on, our planning commission meeting in June of, having a public hearing with the general plan. So that you're all aware of that timetable, and then we'll come back to the council with the results of that. So that's pretty much all that I had to share. Any questions?
Who said public servants could take vacations and spend time with their family? Is that
Yeah.
allowed?
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
I know.
It's encouraged.
Okay.
Aaron, do you have anything?
We're making progress on establishing or we're preparing for the June 20th emergency fire drill. We've recently come to an agreement, correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, that we're gonna also partner with the Red Cross. Okay, we good with that, doing that? Answer is yes.
Yes.
We just had to make sure that the Red Cross, they have a fire mitigation program that they're trying to promote to citizens. And we just had to make sure that their recommendations coincided with what we were already doing mitigation wise. So we're gonna be able to make those corrections or synchronize them together better. But this Red Cross is gonna provide a free backpack, like a bug out backpack, with some initial contributions for it, for each family that participates with a fire mitigation analysis of their home. We're going to-
Internal.
What?
Internal as well as external,
They
right?
do, they're gonna provide external, let me back up. We are gonna be the ones that provide the volunteers to help do the external one. They have volunteers to do the internal one. The internal one that they're doing, they're gonna give free fire alarms to each residence that needs it. So if they're gonna check their batteries, they're gonna verify if they have proper coverage, and they'll be able to be given for free at no cost to the resident, those alarms, as well as the backpack that they do the external one. So it's pretty cool. On the 20th in the morning, we are inviting the block captains that are assigned to that position in the community to come to the city center here first to get some initial training. And that's where they're gonna be the ones asked to do the walk-arounds with the coaching from the Red Cross. Okay?
Great.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do the actual test at 10 o'clock. And the county has made available to us the MAC. You know what the MAC truck is? This is 45-foot emergency operations center facility. So we're gonna start the EOC here at 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then halfway through the test, we're gonna get evacuated because the fire is coming towards this building. And then we're gonna evacuate to the MAC truck and finish our operations there. So that'll give us a little bit of experience of how fast we can transition. Any other questions?
That's great.
Okay, so Jen, I'm gonna try and get you some material to put into our newsletter coming up as far as what families can do to prepare for it, such as ideas.
Deadline is before the 1st.
As long as it's not tomorrow, I'm good.
Hey.
I'll get it to you.
I'm gonna have to work on it on the weekend. So if,
Get it to you this week, ASAP.
yeah, this week is toast already. So this weekend I will work on the newsletter.
And I will work on my contribution for you.
Ted, Wayne.
You got mine already?
Oh, I got yours. Okay.
You got mine, right?
Not yours. It was good. I read it.
Way to go, Ray.
Okay.
Somebody that pulls people over.
Anybody got any questions?
Wonderful.
I was at the emergency managers
I'll just
meeting
say,
today for the
Give
county.
it wings.
It was talking about the wildfire. It was the county fire manager. Basically said, Woodland Hills is gonna go up in smoke. Just kidding. He was kidding though. But
Corporate 10.
he's grateful that we were doing mitigation efforts like we have been, and they're glad they could provide some resources to us as well. So it was a good talk, good presentation.
Thank you, sir. Hey. Okay, mayor and city council reports. Again, 5 minutes or less. For personnel, our staff has been doing some fabulous work. like we've already talked about, all the water line issues that all seem to happen, when they're not, on the clock here. They never break in the morning and take up his day. It always is after, but they've done a great job there. Our water line contractors were fabulous to work with, as well. As for a legal update, nothing for today. So Councilmember Hutchings for Planning Commission.
As Wayne mentioned, planning commission was canceled, so I don't have anything to report.
Wonderful. Councilmember Jones, Public Safety.
Nothing to report.
This is fabulous. Okay, Councilmember Lunt, Parks, Trails, Recreation, Finance, Events, and Communication.
Yeah, PTR, we met and just mostly talked about the pickleball grant that came through. PTR did contribute to help. I mean, Ted did lion's share of the work, but PTR did help with that and supported with that, and so we're grateful for that. And they're just making a priority list. We've been working on a priority list of things we want to see in the parks and trails, so we know what to work on. Like, we'd really like to have a restroom up there. The ADA thing has always been at the top of the list, which now it sounds like part of that will be taken care of, so that's awesome. But one of the things we also want is we kind of want to make a little amphitheater on the south side of the pavilion. You have that flat area where we always, like, we show the movie and stuff like that. We'd like to have a little, maybe like a cement pad right there, and then in the grass have an amphitheater. So that's something that we're going to be working on it and a priority. Let's see. So Finance Committee, we just went over budget numbers, and then you met, so I have to report there. Newsletter, just a reminder for articles that I don't have yet that I need those. And then America 250. That is coming up. So July 5th, on Sunday, July 5th, we will be having a, what do you call it? Potluck in the park. And we are hoping that the city can, fire department, cook some hot dogs.
When?
July 5th.
Sunday, July 5th.
Sunday, July 5th?
The whole entire state is doing a potluck. on
6
that.
p.m.
10:30 to 2:30? Sweet.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Well, I'll have to be there at 10:30 prep.
Okay.
Okay.
Do whatever you gotta do.
And then we have a committee, and they're excited. They're kind of gung ho on it, and we're hoping to do homemade root beer and have everyone bring a side dish to go with it. And then we thought about renting chairs and tables, but we decided against that. We're going to use what tables and chairs we have at the city, but then we're also going to tell people to bring their camp chairs. And they can also bring their pop-ups if they want, and make like little family centers in the grass. They can bring their pop-ups and their camp chairs and their blankets and kind of make their little area. So we wanted to just make it less commercial and more grassrootsy.
Although I think that if we want to get our older residents, we're going to need to have some chairs
That's
and
why
tables.
we're gonna have those. We're gonna bring all of ours from the city up
Oh,
there.
all of ours from the city there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But, and between that and the pavilion, the older citizens will have plenty of seating. But then the families can make their own areas. And then just a few little games, not a whole lot. Oh, and then Dennis Lisenby is getting music together. So he has a little band. Rick Prey has a group. He's gonna see if Hillary Weeks will do a few numbers. He was gonna see several youth artists, and they're all just gonna take turns. And then one of the things that I kind of wanted was some patriotic songs and a sing-along, so that the citizens can sing along on some of like the, some of the Star Spangled Banner, some of those. So anyway, trying to keep it simple, but also make it worthwhile for people to come. And I got the information to President Averett, and he's supporting it, last I heard. And
The church overall has already said that
Yeah.
they're supporting it, so
but
it
he
will come
reached
down.
out for details and stuff, so we got those to him. And I'm gonna ask, Dan Roden kind of has a double duty, so when we get the information finalized, I'm gonna have him send it out, get it sent out to all the wards and bishops. And that way, we can make sure that all the wards support it. And we'll do a sign up genius just to kind of remind people for the side dishes, but really people can still just show up and bring whatever they want. But it's just to kind of help get the ball rolling and encourage people to sign up for stuff and commit. So, okay, that was more than 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we only give you all the responsibility. So, Councilmember Malkovich.
No report other than what we've already talked about, that the strategic plan committee will come on the 23rd at 6 p.m. and give us a presentation. And by then they probably will have a little bit more details on what we talked about earlier.
Wonderful. Okay, Councilmember Roden.
No, nothing, just been helping Janet on the 250 and obviously sending you some ideas. And so I know that you had asked out to the community to share their feedback. I'm not sure if you gave them away specifically, like an email address.
That is on tomorrow's agenda.
Okay, so I don't know if it would be better to receive a bunch of different ones and then I can take inspiration from those. And I just don't know how we would do, if we receive, say, 30, how we would do some sort of vote to determine which one we'd want to do. But we could take those as inspiration for whatever we do.
I think it's a great idea.
Does that work?
Let's, you and I chat tomorrow also to make sure I finalize the verbiage and everything, and then I'll send it out.
You know, and does everyone else know what they're talking about for the
So we're
mailbox?
talking about this temporary container mailboxes outside of the city center. Currently, it looks like, Maersk dropped off one of their junkers. So what we want to do is see if we can't paint it in some capacity that brings in a little bit more of the patriotism and makes it not look like a Maersk junker. So
You sent the video out, so some people may have seen that.
correct. I did speak to it in my update on here. That's why I actually did that video out there this time. But I'll send out more information tomorrow, more specific just to that.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Any items for an upcoming city council meeting?
Mayor,
Yes.
comment? A thought comes to mind with the activity on the 5th. Possibly putting a program together, a printed program. Included in that, can be collected is a list of our relatives in the city who have given their lives in times of war and otherwise, to kind of recognize them in a program and list their names
For
down.
those who have
It's
served.
just a thought.
I'd love to see even just veterans as well. That'd be great.
I'd love that. My only worry, is the worry that we always have, forgetting somebody and leaving somebody out.
I was talking, well, and if you ask for people's names though, give us the names of any veterans that were not only who live in our city, but your family, because then it gives it on to the person to put it in, not you collecting them. The other thing I heard another city doing is they're going to have a contest on patriotic desserts contest. And I thought that might be a fun one for us too. Whether it's, pies or Dutch oven or something, people could make it what they deem as patriotic.
Yes, I think that would be really fun. My subcommittee chairs, we talked about it. We don't want to make it too much work. It's a Sunday. We don't want to make it where, you've got to bring this and you've got to bring this and you've got to do this. We just want them to make a side dish and come and relax and enjoy the program and feel the patriotism. So we don't want to put too much on people because
We had thought about like pie eating contests and
Or
other
pie baking
baking
contests.
contests and I'm more interested that people will not find a reason to not come. I just wanted to make it easy and simple, but noted.
all great ideas.
Some people who are bakers though, it is simple to bring something.
Yeah.
And
So
they
we have
can
to,
still.
we just have to, maybe balance that for the people who, this is a big deal for them to have it as an event more, and they love to bake. It might be their way to showcase and their own talents to our community. But at the same time, bring what you want, but maybe give those who want to do that an opportunity.
So Shannon Gilbert is spearheading. She's the person on the ground doing all of this. So, and she also wants to keep it simple.
And I'll need
Yeah.
all baked goods to come through my home first before
So none of them will arrive.
So
We're not poison controlled.
I will be the sole vote.
Wonderful. Okay, Jody, could we actually add to the next council agenda, America 250?
We'll keep talking about it and updating.
Yep.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, if there's nothing else for upcoming council meetings, then we will close the work session. And we will take a 3-minute break, and we will resume again at 7:45. Does that work for everybody?
It's very specific, yes.
3-minute break.
I just round to the nearest 5. So, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like
Wonderful.
boom, boom, boom.
Okay. Well, I'd like to call this council meeting to order. And we are going to start with an invocation from Councilmember Johns and a pledge of allegiance from Councilmember Roden.
For your Father in heaven, we're grateful to be able to meet together today as a city and discuss the needs of the city and the ways we can improve the quality of life that we all enjoy here. We ask that will bless us and guide us today as we make decisions, that we can be guided by thy spirit. And we ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All rise, please. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you both. I'd like to open the public comment period. Comments are to be limited to 2 minutes or less if possible. And only in-person comments will be included as part of the official record. Please.
You want me to sit, I guess?
Yep. And if you could just state your name for the record, that'd be great.
Okay. So I'm David Spencer. I live in Orem and I'm running for County Commissioner CB. I was on the Orem City Council for 12 years. So I just got off in December. I got into politics to save the baseball fields in Orem. And 12 years later, they're still there. So at least I accomplished something in my time on the council. But the main reason I'm running for county commissioner is in those 12 years, not once did a county commissioner come to Orem and say, what are your needs? How can we help you? And that needs to change. Because I feel that Utah County is fractured. We're doing our own little thing. And if we get all on the same page, we'll be able to go to the legislature and ask for money that's going to Davis County, because that's where the state leadership is. We need money in Utah County to help the cities. But the main thing is, if we come together, I want to meet like with every city, mayor, council, and citizens to say, how can we help? Because a lot of people don't know what the county even does, right? And we have the great sheriff and sheriff's department and the jail, but what are they doing for the cities? And that's what I want to change. So in my service of on the city council, I love serving people. I love when people call me. I've heard that commissioners aren't even accessible. They can't even be reached. You have to leave them a message. You need to be accessible. That's why I have my phone all the time. And I did that as a city council member. But I was out in Genola last week, and it's interesting how the gravel pits are really hurting the tart cherries and that agriculture. So we need to be very careful, even though it's state that's mandated that we have to permit everything. But I just want to represent, and I just wanted to come out and say, I'm here. And primaries are coming up real soon. June 2nd, I think the ballots are coming out. But I've got a brochure that I'll leave with the city reporter. And
I have a quick question for you, David.
yes, ma'am.
So, what is your feeling on the budget with the county sheriff? We know it takes a lot of money to run the sheriff, the jail, the attorney general's office, the county attorney's office, et
Yes.
cetera. We do contract with the sheriff's office, so for law enforcement, so that budget is important to us. So I want to know
I
what you feel
agree
about
100%.
that.
So in Orem, I have the Fraternal Order Police endorsement and also the fire union in Orem, because that is your number one budget item and that is your number one priority. You need to keep your citizens safe, bottom line. And you know, you can cut the fat, but the main thing, you have to make sure that you keep your citizens safe. And that's my bottom line. So, do I think in Orem, we cut the fat and we save 1.7 million? Do I think there's fat in the county? Yes, I do. But we need to make sure that we do not pilfer from the sheriff and the jail. I don't know 100% about the jail and how, but I know it's very expensive because police and fire are normally the number one budget item. So that is a priority, and that's why I do have the endorsement for our local Orem, fire and police, because Chief Robertson and Sanderson, they support me 100%. I was at the Sarah last night and they honored our firemen, and I went up and I shook all their hands because they're all my friends, right? I visit them because people don't realize, but they put their life on the line every day, and they might not come home because they're protecting us. And that, my dad fought in Vietnam, so I'm that's in my DNA, and I appreciate what they do because I've been on ride-alongs and stuff, and I don't see how they do it, but I'm glad that somebody wants to do that with the police and the fire. But I take my hats off to them because you have to have, you're just a great individual if you're able to do that. But so that's, hopefully that answered your question, but I would not cut the sheriff and we need to make sure we are efficient, and that's the key. I mean, everybody's budget, you need to find efficiencies because money doesn't grow on trees, and I don't believe in the county's raising taxes. That hurts the cities, because then if you have to do a bond, I think you just had a work session talking about bonding. That hurts because then the citizens are feeling the pain, right? So we just need to be careful. But I appreciate your time. I probably went over 2 minutes, but she did ask me the question. But it was a good question.
You're good. Hey, thank you so much.
I'll save this with the report if
Appreciate
you want it, but I've got a plan. There's 6 or 7 items to do.
Is contact information on there for
Yes,
any of
sir.
them to be able to?
Yep, right there, phone number and email. So I always have my phone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sherry.
Hi, I am not running for political office and I don't want to go to jail. But I do have a comment about the roundabout. Is there any way in working with the county that the funding that they would be putting into the roundabout, they just give to the city and we put in what we feel the citizens and would like to see in conjunction with what Three Bridges is going to do to kind of keep all the artistic genre the same. And I do have a request in my comment that it's my understanding that the county owns that obnoxious, very tall light that is left on all night long down there by the mailboxes. Is that going to be removed?
I don't relocate probably, but because they have to kind of reconfigure that site there.
Right.
I don't know what, I haven't looked at the plan close enough to see what that light other than I think it says possibly relocated. But I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I have to look at the plan a little closer on that one.
Just be nice if they'd give us the money of what they would spend on trees and whatever else you guys were talking about in the work session. And then, we can put in what we want to put in and use that money. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Doesn't look like I have anybody here. Is there anybody else, Diana or Doral?
You guys are doing great. Thank you.
Thank you. Doral, anything from you?
I didn't know how to unmute. No, I'm just wanting to step in and listen. I apologize for being late. Nothing to say, Mayor.
We'll take you in any form we can get you, brother. Okay, then I will close the public comment and we're going to move on to our business and discussion. The motion for the mayor to sign the Utah Wildland Fire Memorandum of Understanding between the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Land and Woodland Hills.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Hutchings with the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Malkovich with the second. Councilmember Lund.
Yes.
Councilmember Roden.
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Councilmember Johns.
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. And a motion for the mayor to sign the CPR contract for APP, the pickleball courts.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Lund with the motion, Councilmember Johns with the second. Did I hear that right? Our elite pickleball team is making that motion here. Councilmember Johns,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Roden,
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich.
Yes.
Gotta keep you guys on your toes.
Quick before they change their mind.
Exactly. Okay, approval of the April 2026 financials and check disbursements.
Motion.
Councilmember Johns with the motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Roden with the second. Councilmember Johns.
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Roden.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes as well. Resolution 2026-38, adopting the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. I know we have a few discussion questions.
Yeah, I wasn't able to be part of kind of the final discussions last council meeting, but a couple things that came up. We're increasing mayor and council wages by about 10K for this upcoming year. So I just wanted to see what the final conversations were about that.
Yes, so that total number would be 25,200.
Okay.
So that roughly is around, what is that? 18 minus 25, so 7,000.
7,000-ish. Yeah,
None of us
I
said a
guess the
whole lot
question was,
about it.
yeah, I was gonna say.
None of us said a whole lot about it. In my mind, it's still not much. It's just more like a little stipend to cover, your expenses. None of us are doing it for that tiny little paycheck, but I do think for future candidates, I think it's helpful because, if you're spending money out of your own family's coffers to serve and do this job, that may limit a lot of people, good people who could run and fill the seat. And I feel like our expenses should be covered. And so I don't think any of us oppose it, but none of us are like spearheading it.
Yeah.
Well, I spoke with a former council member who was on the council, I believe, 4 or 5 mayors ago. And the wages was the same. So I think there is a degree of it should increase with just inflation, if nothing else. But also, like, I agree with what Janet said. We need to make sure it's something to at least try and cover the costs. It barely covers campaigning costs. But
It's still not something that's going to attract people to run. They're not going to run because of this stipend. Like, nobody's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
But we also don't want good people to not run because they can't afford, to pay for things out of their own pocket to be able to serve. So that's my standing on it.
Well, I think we are the lowest in the state.
I think
Not if you listen to some of our citizens.
If you look at it from the standpoint of, our kind of size, because if you look at, Goshen or some of these are much smaller towns, but I think when it comes to cities, we are at the bottom, if not.
We still have
above.
to travel to all the same meetings.
Yes.
Still have to pay the same gas.
What is your gas bill like right now?
It's a lot.
Councilmember Johns, I do want to note that there will be a public hearing scheduled for June 9th, where the public can comment on the compensation as well.
Okay. So that doesn't.
Wages will be in that public hearing.
Okay, that's good. So it's not like this automatically becomes a pool to pull from. That's the big thing is I don't want it to seem like a self-serving approval. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
People, if they want to think that, they still will.
Yeah, they will. And I'm okay with that. I just, like I said, I just wanted to know. I mean, I'm just airing stuff out because it's just what I do, so.
No, I think it's good. And it, for people that are listening, it's good to be stated.
My other
So
one
Steve,
is, yeah.
sorry, I agree with you. The one thing I'd like to point out is I see the mayor's role becoming more and more every year as I've sat through council and as I became a council member. I do see the mayor's role in the executive side needing an increase just because of the amount of time that they're putting in. And I get that us on the council are as well. I'm actually against raising the council wages. But I'm not going to stop a budget because of that, because I agree with everything else in the budget. And I think it's a give and take type of thing. But I agree with the other raises that are put in. And again, yeah, I know that there's going to be a public hearing. But I do want to point out that I don't agree. I think that the council as a whole, I think we are better off having the people who want to do it. I don't think that there should be a money incentive there. I think the mayor actually does quite a bit. I've watched through the last few mayors and seen what they put into it, and I think that does need to increase. Just so my thoughts are heard out there as well. I actually disagree with raising the council wages.
Well, and I think too, Brian, you don't want it to be an incentive, the pay to be an incentive to run, but you also don't want the lack of pay to be an incentive not to run. We need good people who will serve our community and not feel, I mean, that their family has to supplement the city budget because they're already paying taxes as well. And so I think there is a balance there to make sure that good people will step forward and recognizing that most of the expenses that we each individually have, that we cover ourselves. But so we don't want it to be a deterrent and we don't want it to be an incentive, and there's a fine line there.
Thank you. Anything else?
So, sorry, do you care if I?
Please.
I've got 4 questions in total, so it won't be long, but 4141.100 admin salaries and wages.
Yes.
So after losing Chris on that, we're still increasing that budget about 50K. So I just wanted to get a little more insight on that. I mean, I know we've got our breakdowns and we're talking about pay increases for staff. I just wanted to know how that offset with Chris leaving.
Great question. And I that's a perfect question. I want you to go with me to let's go to 4110.100. That should be streets wages. Sorry, 4410.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Should be in roads.
Okay, yeah.
Helps when I give you the right number, sorry.
Okay, so that has effectively just rolled up into that category at this point?
Yes, and that will be one of our issues when we're looking at the year over year.
Okay.
Because you'll also see snow plowing wages will stay the same. Parks salaries and wages is also going from 11,000 to 0. So basically what I did is it used to be extrapolated over those 3 different funds within the general fund. And I said, it's too confusing. So I eliminated all of those line items and brought them all just to that admin. So while it does look like we're going from 175,000 to 212,000, there's actually $120,000 decrease in essence, because you'll also see a $30,000 or $15,000 or $12,000, whatever. I don't have the exact numbers here in this spreadsheet for our new bookkeeper. So that's why we went from the 150,000 is now no longer on that.
So she'll be in wages. She's not a contract.
She is a contract, so she actually shows up in one of the professional services.
Okay, and so in that 120, net, delta deduction, does that account for the discussion about pay increase for the staff?
So there is
So
a
there
decrease
is.
of that number per the wage increases. So I believe
With
when we
wage
ran the
increases?
numbers, it was what? $80,000 still savings?
A little bit more than that, because we still had health insurance savings, retirement savings where it decreases. A few other
Okay,
areas like that, but Charlene is in admin professional wages for salary that, or hourly rate is calculated there.
okay,
So that's 4141.35.
beautiful. And then city repairs, and sorry, two more.
you're good.
City repairs, we're up about 120.
Mhm.
And I know we talked about several projects, several allocations, but I just wanted to see what kind of the final big projects were that went into that 120K number.
Great question. Okay, so what that was we did, let me make sure, because I'm looking
that
at
was
that.
4141, 649.
So 649, that is a rekeying of the building, what actually will now come out of this this year, not next year's, but that's also a repainting of the inside of the city center at 10,000. That is additional landscaping at the city building at 5,000. Flooring options for half of the building potentially. That is some replacing the two fridges, or a fridge. That's some HVAC work. So basically the building is hitting around that 15 years old, 12 years old, something like that.
It's 14.
14 years old. So
it was 14 this month.
Protective glass, things like that, is that stuff?
Yep.
Part of, okay.
Yep, that was the next one.
So kind of the things that we talked about in our budget meeting, there wasn't anything outside of that.
The only thing that jumped was this wall right here on the exterior.
Oh, yeah.
It had been allocated at around 15,000, and it's looking like it'll be closer to, what was it, 31?
31, and that also takes into consideration repainting the outside, doing the eaves and the dormers where it's been coming apart.
It's multiple places.
And making repairs.
When we had this bid, this entire side of the building is extremely compromised from the exterior. So there's OSB replacement in there.
Okay.
The damage is quite extensive.
Okay, no, that's great. I appreciate that. And then my last question on the budget was PTR was about 150, and I'm not sure if that accounts for some of the grant matching, that sort of thing.
That is where the pickleball court lives.
Okay, great. Okay.
So
Sorry, thank you for letting me ask those questions now.
I am always happy to have any budget questions. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, then I'll accept a motion.
Mayor,
Yes, Blaine.
did you cover the consent agenda? On
I don't have any consent agenda item.
okay. You got removed then?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
I'll move to approve the resolution for the budget.
Okay, Councilmember Johns for the motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Malkovich with a second. Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Johns.
Yes.
Councilmember Roden.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. I do have a few things that I'd like to discuss concerning potential legal issues to go into closed session. So if I can get a motion, we will go into closed session.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Malkovich with the motion and Councilmember Lunt with the second. Councilmember Malkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Johns.
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Councilmember Roden.
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt.
Yep.
Okay, then we are going to head into closed session. Those online, Diana, Sherry, and Doral, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your participation.
Right.
Okay, we are back from closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I was on my way out.